I'm the volunteer fire department, and I'm gonna challenge the service. I'm gonna go out and get, fix. I'm gonna get more than 15 households that participate in this, and that will, I can count on them to do these speed tests on 3 different days. Our speed test, we have a speed test tool already. I've had that for quite a while in our map. It's the red button on our website. Our website is broadbandinternet.com. And so when you press that button, it runs 3 separate speed tests. It runs MLab and Ookla. But it runs 3 separate speed tests. So that's that is why we need nonprofits to help do that, because it is a very piece we're going to need this. We're going to have the most difficult knowing about this and participating. So I know I'm speaking at the City Fiscal League Small Town Conference in October. I'm going to talk about this. We are going to push it out the best we can. We're also going to target some of these communities and encourage them, but we need from them. So, a lot coming up with that challenge process. So the challenge process, and then after the challenge, we also have to file 2 of the initial proposal, which is how we'll actually select the providers who will then build that. So we'll be making grant, we'll have a competitive grant to award these grants to. So we got a lot going on. There's a whole lot going on. We have been also working to promote ACP. Our office does have a grant for ACP awareness. Our grant application was to do statewide and local media, and in effect, kind of chase some of these grants. As we make a grant and services built out in the area where they haven't had services, to help advocate. I know in some of these small towns, you could go one and everybody in town would see it. I was campaigning for the Senate. I had to and everybody saw it. So it might be a little more. We're going to look at these different towns that might be ready. Some towns still have a strong local paper. We're going to look at each community and see how we can help increase our participation. Our participation actually is pretty good. We're right on par with the national average. We are, but I think there is room for it to go up. And again, we need any advocacy you have, because it has to be funded again, and we need that to happen. Here's just a map, and the colors don't show up as well as I'd like them to, but ACP eligibility is the hot pink, and the blue area. So a lot in the Delta, as you can see. Our office is also charged with the Digital Skills and Equity Grant, which is the state digital equity grant, the federal digital equity grant. We will be administering that. We are in the final stages of completing our digital equity plan. It's called the Mississippi Digital Skills and Accessibility Plan. And there are, you all know this, covered population. We have been trying, we've reached out, we think, to every covered population as we've had our community colleges, our universities also reaching out for us, collecting data. And we are so happy to have the Alliance as well as participants. I think our digital equity plan is a plan. It is not the end all be all. And I think it will be a living, breathing plan that we add to and work together to make them sure I will get a lot of comments on our digital equity plan. It will be open for public comment. And I am looking forward to receiving those comments. And I know that you all will have a lot of good things to say and perhaps to incorporate. Mississippi State has been helping us with digital asset mapping. I'm not going to talk about that because Devin Mills is going to come up here and talk about that in just a moment. But as I talked about, we did do community colleges. We did surveys. So I would say that our office has been extremely busy. We were created about 14 months ago, 15 months ago, really started work. We all walked in the building. I walked in the building with one other employee, July 1 of 2020. And we have hired staff, everybody had a computer and an email. That's 6 weeks in state bureaucracy. We put out RFPs for health, auditors, and mapping people. So we've been extremely busy. I am just so excited, especially as everybody introduced themselves today, to hear all of the different groups that we have here, and look forward to working with all of you. And I would like to just answer any questions that anyone has.
So let's say in 5 years, everybody is there. Then what does that look like for your?
I think at that point, we will be doing things like, it's going to take us 5 years to get our money out and then to do all. I'm not sure. We might still be, I'm sure we'll still be in field accessibility. There will be some ongoing monitoring of these networks. So we won't be, we're not going to. Yeah, no, that's our, we should not have to do it again. I think our office might, some other types of once I get through with these, we have so many deadlines now for Christmas. One thing I will look at also is cell phone coverage in the state. I've got data on it that we're going to go out, and this fiber build out is going to help that cell phone. So I think there are a myriad of things, a lot of things we could be doing about it.
But this first phase is
totally important. Yes.
Yeah, households still have to.
They have to apply. I mean, they have to, just like any service, like getting your water turned on, your electricity turned on. Yeah, I mean, it's not free. It is a service, but we are providing some. So the reason these areas are unserved is a low density area. And, if I'm going to have a grocery store, and only have 10 people who live out in that community, it's hard to make ends meet, right? Same with so where there is very few people, just doesn't make financial sense. So the companies have not invested in those areas. What this program does is going to help them with their capital costs to pay for that capital expense. Then, ongoing expenses is still going to be done. It really is. It's a very risky proposition here to build out. Yeah. So the fiber just goes to street level. Fiber doesn't actually do it. Yeah. If you're fiber to the home, it's really fiber. Fiber in front of your house. So the match comes from the provider. The for the grant, and the applicants for the grants will be providers, internet service providers. We have some state law that defines that. Law, so we're working through that as well. But it is, if you want an entity that has the technological know-how and the financial strength.
Providers.
65 providers in Mississippi.
Ain't that expert on our, do they have like rights to certain counties?
They do not. So this is a competitive environment. It's not like electricity where you only have one provider and they have a certificate. It's kind of a difficult thing. You know, we're giving public money into it. So, you know, we can grant, we can award money, and then in a couple of years, somebody else can build right over them. Decide to use public money to do that. But we don't think that would happen because these are such low density areas. And so that's why this mapping is so important to prevent any duplication of that. That's what we really do.
And like in Atala County, I could choose from multiple providers that are serving that county. Or is it just one that I choose?
So if your location is unserved, you live in Atala County and you're unserved, we're going to provide funding for one provider. Sure.
And fiber was.
The cost that was associated with it, which just keep us in mind, it was an unexpected, fairly large expense for the town.
That have all of the utilities located.
Yeah.
You would have to now, I was meeting with the 811 group out here and something scheduled for next week.
So that was that.
We do
I was
understand.
thinking about what you were saying as you go across the state that budget for them.
Exactly right. So I've been talking about deployment because honestly, that is my number one. But we also are charged with digital skills and accessibility, which is just as important. The federal grant that we have, my back of the envelope is that $3 or $4 million a year for about 5 years. So I think we're going to get 15 million, maybe. I do not know. I keep asking, nobody. I don't think we will know that until next summer. So my thought is, you know, that is not, it sounds like a lot of money. But is it enough to teach everybody in the state of Mississippi how to use a computer and make sure everybody in the state of Mississippi has a computer? It's not enough to close the digital divide. So we've got to leverage that money. I would love to leverage that money and fund match with a nonprofit, private dollars, for any money that comes into the state for digital skills. My internal goal is to see if we can make that happen. Turn it into a much larger pot of money. I plan to work with existing programs, existing structures that we have in Mississippi, if possible. Some of our libraries have been in this space for a long time. You need Wi-Fi in a small town. If it's a small town that doesn't have a McDonald's, then you go to the library and you go, they have Wi-Fi. You should sit in the parking lot and access to Wi-Fi. So libraries have been providing devices, providing access. So we want to work with them to leverage programs that they have, or maybe help them with a digital data our kids now, pardon me, our kids all have Chromebook, or then they got tablets. Chromebook. All of our kids have Chromebooks. We use the CARES Act money. CARES Act money, we sent governor's money about that today. But now it's time to upgrade them. They've been out for about 3 years. So it's time to upgrade them. So device accessibility is a huge, huge issue. And also, there's one group that's on here that specializes in terms. Make sure we keep you in the loop. Anybody else?
Going back to the open comment period, I appreciate you being considerate.
Yeah.
Because when you said that, I was thinking the end of the year for nonprofits is so hard. You know, they're doing their end of year giving pushes. Also, that's when they tend to serve underserved families a lot more because of the holidays and just different things. So I think that if you could push it to January, that would get more nonprofits engaged.
Yeah, so it's really a 90-day process. So the first 30 days is challenges are filed. And then our office and our outside servers will resolve those challenges over the next 60 days. So the only problem with everyone who moved it is further out that we can get approval for any money. We want deployment as fast as we can, but do we do that at the expense of some participation? There is one right answer for that. I would love to see your comment and how we can work with that. Yes.
Extreme high cost areas. Areas that you think about outside of
So my thought is fixed wireless, and fixed wireless, you know, which is a radio on a tower and taking it down to a receiver. And again, my background is not in technology, so I'll do the best I can. But fixed wireless is much less expensive than running fiber. But in some areas, it works really well for it. It's flat, don't like trees, it's line of sight. If you're down in Southwest Mississippi where I am, pine trees are all over the place. That signal. So we are, you know, we'll look at fixed wireless. You know, I might be able to subsidize Starlink or something like that. We have not fully what all those options.
regards to the work especially in regards to what's the thinking strategy to make
So we're going to work to accelerate Mississippi, which is our state agency. I've met with them several times. They already are funding some training. We have also met with all of the development arms of our community colleges and are exploring with them some curriculum, providing funding for curriculum to be used across all programs. Some funding for real entry level, and then also some funding for people who have been in this industry that their skills are two different kinds. I talked to Accelerate about that. Because I said, you know, what is it we need to do? Do we need to buy fiber splicing machines? Do we need to buy, what is it that we need to use on that? We're good on equipment. We have problems with and train the trainer. So we're looking at a proposal to provide some training for instructors and to provide a curriculum that we need. That's our thought right now, is to work I know the, apprenticeship programs are the great in this area, and Accelerate has some programs ongoing, and we intend to just build it. Do we have any questions from the,
They have to unshare. On the digital skills, will that be? I know the feed is going to skills, who would be?
so my understanding is that or, you know, that nonprofit, yeah. Education. Devices, that should be a little blind. And so that's why we've got, you know, $3 million a year, once you start giving out money, it's not a whole lot, right? Right, be huge program, so we've got to be very careful. First of all, we got to leverage our funding, extra funding, and really reach some targeted goals. This great company, what that is. You know, what we're required to do in this digital equity plan and filing is provide strategies to reach each of all the covered populations. You will have that. But as far as the more granular, got it. To talk about this connectivity survey together and work digital asset.
Say we got one Janine is joining us online. We missed our introductions. If you want to share a little bit, we were just introducing ourselves and what your favorite hole in the wall place to eat in Mississippi is, because I'm sure you have found some. You're able to come on and join us. We can't hear you.
Now,
Yes.
hey everybody. I'm Janine Abrams McLean. I am the president at Fair Count. Let's see what else. Born and raised in Mississippi. I currently live in Georgia, and born, raised, and married in Mississippi. I currently live in Georgia. I'd have to say my favorite hole in the wall spot to eat is probably at like my aunt's house. I'll be honest with you. The food is free and it's delicious. So
Okay, good. And we don't have to take a formal break because we are moving way faster than originally planned, which I suspected that we would. But if y'all want to take a quick minute break, or let's just keep rolling. If y'all want to keep rolling, go when you need to. I have to go, so I'm gonna let Devin come up and I'm gonna take my break.
I'll let you find it.
Yes. Yep.
Hi, everyone. As director, I have been working with the team to develop and all the organizations working to digital asset mapping. So I passed out my flyer. I also left all these copies on the table. My gosh, go through your communities, also put people online, this is what the flyer looks like, give a little bit of information about the project, along with my contact information, have any further questions after my little talk. So, what organizations are we looking for in our inventory? So, I'll give some examples here on the next slide. So, these are organizations that connect our household broadband internet service, help people afford digital devices, cell phones, computers, laptops, tablets, anything like that. Any groups that offer digital skills training or technical support, that could be one-on-one support, group classes, after-school programs, that nature, formal college or university courses. And that, any groups that provide publicly accessible devices, that's where our libraries come in, our workforce centers that have computers on site that people can access to a central location and get on a computer or get on Wi-Fi. There, and then we're also any philanthropic organization in the city fund digital inclusion work at the community level. So this would be organizations that do it for profit or for grade or whoever. And this is the thing, yes. So this one. So it could be college, school, government organization. At the end, I'll give an example of organizations. Yeah. So, kind of ran through this kind of gives a full organization for sometimes about what action that these organizations are from. So again, giving out laptops or laptops or computers. If you loan a computer or Wi-Fi hotspot, love to hear from a publicly accessible computer, or Wi-Fi, providing a centralized location. If you teach participants how to use computers, smartphones at any age, this would be training for classes for school age children all the way up to elderly adults, and that is teaching them how to use a computer or their smartphone, anything from basic skills all the way up to advanced coding covered, and then philanthropic organizations who support efforts in the community.
You asked a question.
Did y'all know about this?
I did not say June did, but I did not. Okay.
So we started the survey off. So how we are building the story is through a survey. So we are asking all the organizations, all the groups that are currently doing this work in the state. We really want to hear from you. We'd love for you to take a survey to help me know about what efforts are currently being done in Mississippi. And we'll also let them know if we ask about geographic identifiers. So where your location is, what areas we serve the state of Mississippi, or town, or the county. So it also lets me know wherever. So this inventory of organizations will eventually lead to a publicly accessible online map of the state. So working with the contractors that is working with, they're doing all the maps of where broadband access is not across the city. We're going to have eventually an online map of all the organizations on there so that people can go on to the website, see what resources are available in their community, some basic contact information for those services. So we can kind of have a running list about what is available to them and around them. That can kind of help bridge those gaps. So a little bit about our survey. We designed it should not take more than 10 minutes. Average time of that's about where I ended. So pretty short. Some people don't really love these surveys, so we designed it to be easy to take, available both in English and Spanish, and it is online, accessible online through this link that's also on the flyer I handed out. It is the same place where you go to take that we talked about. So broadbandms.com. Internet speed at the residential address /skills survey. That's where you can find survey to be organization in literacy and inclusion. And also send you a paper copy of the survey. I have it with me today if you'd like to actually grab a copy and see what questions are being asked, or you could see it online. Or fill it out on paper and get back to me. I can give you my contact if that would work best for you. But if it's future, if you get a paper copy, in either English or Spanish. So sample survey questions, as I mentioned, beginning with basic about your organization, about your business, that group, where you're located, contact, what groups do you serve, are you open 24/7, 5 days a week, days a week, and like that. Street address, and then we want to know if your organization focuses our efforts on any historically underserved. So are your services to offer, they only offer to a group or to a specific area, you only county, or is it just available to many? And then we also ask if there's any cost for free to people who want to engage with them. So as I told you yesterday, we have about 42 responses so far. So we've got a lot of libraries because in our libraries are hubs in our especially rural communities that offer laptops and computers at a central location to access them. They also provide Wi-Fi in our communities, along with digital skills training, support. When you go to a library, fill a job application, or library, something like that one-on-one basis. We've also gotten responses from our government agencies, some nonprofits, higher education groups. Just give a little bit more of an idea. And we ask you at the top what category groups what would be another? So those were our.
I know we have way more than 3 nonprofits in Mississippi that are doing this, and we've shared it out. And so we'll keep sharing that because we know there are other community-based organizations that are meeting at least one of those kind of areas.
So I really appreciate the opportunity and kind of promote this work and promote the survey. Just varsity, probably better idea of what's being done, but they know about the great work that's being done. Out there, publicly. That know about what's out there, closer to them geographically.
And how long would you keep the survey open?
So I think I should say that we will have whatever is available included in our digital equity plan whenever we submit that for public comment. But it is our plan to hopefully keep this ongoing and maybe ask people who have filled out the survey once, like every year or two, check in and make sure they're still providing the same services. Has anything changed? Will it be the same survey link? I don't know yet. That is still something that we're not at that point, we haven't decided. But our plan is to keep track of all of these organizations and keep it updated and keep finding new. Because as Sally said, we don't know how much money we have to fund our digital equity program. So once we do, we're sure, we'll learn of some new ones as they apply for grants or something, somehow they slipped through and didn't fill out the survey before we had our plan. So like she said, it's going to be a living, breathing thing as we progress through these 5 or 6 years. Again, contact information, flyer, there, again, you're in a space or no other group. You get survey beyond the inventory, and we design the survey to be very short, easy to take.
Thank you, Devin. Did we have any questions online from anybody? Yes, not, okay. And what I'd like to do now is, going back to talking about this pipe. Let's start at the beginning of it. Let's work our way down and hear from those of you that are in this room where you fit on the pipeline, what you're doing, and again, who's missing, who's not here, who do we need to be included, who need to add a link. Let's just spend some time really working through that. So if you have had a board to draw on, I do it. So being the first link, I would say, on there. We've already heard from them. We know what their priorities are. We know that they have oversight of funds that are coming in. To me, what makes most sense next are the providers. And Dean has stepped out. I'd love to be able to hear from him because he is a provider. I don't know if either one of y'all can speak to, as a provider, what that looks like for you, what that means, where you are providing service, are you applying for funding, y'all are the only provider that would be in the room. So I don't know if either of you want to speak to that, or if you want to wait until he comes back and have him speak.
I do know that they are after the survey, of course, like that. Find as well as coding trainings and different things to get there. Where the other departments, a lot of people, underserved areas are not, well, I'm not going to say everybody, but there's a lot of people that they, I'll let you speak more.
And Quinn Jordan, who's with the Broadband Association, he's part of the coalition, but he is just not able to be in here right now. And he really could speak on behalf of all the providers that are part of the association. So maybe next time we meet, we can have him really speak. So next on the pipeline would be to be affordability. Because you've got access by way of the providers, now we got to get people connected.
So the Beam Office and Mississippi Center for Justice and Strategic Solutions have all received funding to do outreach. Sally shared how they're going to utilize those funds. I'd love to hear from you, Madison and Samira, on what y'all are doing around your ACP outreach. So do you mind sharing that? Okay. Can everybody, I don't know if those online can hear people in the back of the room, okay? So if y'all can't hear, just let me know and I may get you.
Usually pretty loud. So for us, and I'm still new with it, I think my focus primarily been, we are already in the schools. So we have a grant where we do some healthy relationship classes. So we're pretty well known in our schools, in our area. And for me, obviously we're all here because everyone needs to be connected. I mean, we're at a time now where every household needs to have internet. I mean, it is becoming a need. For me, certainly students. My children do not have to have internet access at home. We do, of course. And they are able to do a lot of, like, my little girl loves to get on and do the AR reading. It's all things that she could do at school, it's kind of an extra thing. But I want every student to have that opportunity. I don't want her to come home and brag to her friend about being able to do these extra things online. And I mean, she enjoys it. You know, it's fun for her. I think it's super beneficial. So I want every student to have that. So with SEEP schools being a qualification there in ACP, I've really focused on getting in with superintendents and principals and saying, hey, can I reach out to all of your parents? Can we send this letter out? Because again, as a parent, I kind of try to think from that aspect. You know, you can set up here, or you can set up there, or you can do this event or that event. And I'm a busy person. You know, I've got several things going on. I've got children. And as involved in the community as I can. I may not make it to this event. I may not pay attention to the flyer that you put on my car. I may not see what is on the bulletin board at the college or at the library, but I'm going to read every letter that comes out with my child from school. You know, I'm going to see everything that comes out in their folders. So for me, I really focused on getting approval to get those letters out with those SEEP schools and letting every student's household know that they are eligible just because they attend that school and it's, you know, a SEEP school. So that's kind of been my focus. We have done some other outreach. My educator is in the Kahoma County area. So we've done some outreach there. She kind of does more of the flyers, bulletins, that kind of thing, tries to attend community meetings, but I've really focused on the schools. It is so important to me for every student to have that.
So is your outreach to a specific region or county? Or
We have 9 counties on ours, but they're right there around us. Those are the schools that we are in. We have an office in Greenville as well, and then we have our work together. So we're kind of covering that area.
Any questions on their outreach and what they're doing?
So our other grant, when we teach the healthy relationship classes, is primarily focused on high school, but because we're in those districts, for me, again, my thought process is, I don't know that every high school student takes home what they get in class, but those elementary schools, getting letters into those. So it's just an advantage that we were already involved in the schools, and you know, it made it a little bit easier to approach those principals and those superintendents and go that route. But elementary, certainly, they take those letters home. You know, they take those letters home, and most of those parents do at least see what's coming home in those folders. Specifically, if like my kids have every Tuesday they get grade. So that's when all teachers have learned to send everything home on Tuesday. His mom has to sign those grades, so she's going to see everything on the keep side. So that's kind of been my focus, is trying to get those letters home in those folders. But yeah, elementary for me, because to kind of follow up on that, once we get them connected, those are the parents that I would really love to work on making sure that they know how. Because like I have to guide my child to where I have to get on the internet and get her to, and that seems so simple for someone like all of us in this room, but there are so many parents that really just do not know how to navigate even getting to that website. So I want to get them connected, get internet in their household, and then I would love Head Start. I love the Head Start. I try to stay really involved there. I think it is such a great program. The Head Start parents in the lower elementary, they're really depending on their parents to get them access. I would love to focus on those parents and just teaching them the basics of from there. Yes, yes, yes.
The letters that y'all are sending, is that a letter that's coming directly from your organization?
It is. No, it's just a letter to, so I started with a letter to the superintendent just to say, hey, you know, this is just out of respect. You know, we already have a memorandum of understanding in these schools because of our other grant, but just out of respect and making them aware, kind of getting them on board. And then following that up with that same style letter to the principal. Again, just a very brief, I know that they don't have all day, but just to let them know about the ACP grant, what we're doing, why all of their students, because typically you think, okay, well, this is only going to serve, this is only going to be available for my students that come from this household or that household. So being able to say, no, because our school, this applies to every student. So just a quick letter to let them know what it is and why everybody in their school will be eligible, and then following that up with a copy of the parent letter that we want to send out to the parent.
And are y'all, will y'all do sign-up events where you actually say, okay, come today and we will help you sign up for ACP?
Yeah, so our letter actually has a very basic, the basic information we need to get them enrolled, like the parents' name, the student's name, without going into too much detail there. It has all of our contact information, so they can reach out to me directly. It has, you know, if they want to come in the office and enroll, it has where we're located. It is, there's a QR code that I created where they can actually do like Survey Monkey and just go right to that and input that information that's going to come directly to me, where I can go ahead and get them enrolled. And then also we are active in the parent meetings or harvest festivals, so that kind of thing. And so that way when they see us, they already know what we're doing. It's not like having to approach a table and being clueless about what they're actually doing. Just sending that letter out, you know, lets them know what we're doing. So yes, it does have several different ways that they can actually get involved. So we do have some groups that like enrollment, and that's where my educator is primarily focused, the community navigator there. For me, overseeing it, I'm just kind of focused on. Yes, we do.
And I understand that y'all have a partner organization, the Family Wellness Outreach, and they're doing ACP. Are they doing similar or?
So they are in a different area, obviously. And I think somewhat, I think we shared that idea and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, this would be great. But I think they have focused more on just being at every event that their areas are hosting. So like every walk, every festival, every, you know, a lot more outreach, which is, like I said, we do. That's where my navigator is focused, but for me, just getting into the schools.
Your school benefits and they're like community.
Yes, yes,
And different counties.
yes, ma'am.
Samira, can you share about outreach from MCJ?
Yes, so MCJ, our funding is strictly for 13 counties in the Delta. And we are working out of our Indianola office. We have a program manager there who is doing outreach and also application assistance for people when they need this. It's both individual ACP outreach and also we have about 5 advocacy campaigns that do work in the Delta as well. So whenever there's opportunities to collaborate and have ACP outreach involved in those events as well. We're still in the process of organizing the individual ACP outreach, but we're taking any opportunities we see to actually have someone out there and speak on ACP and provide information on ACP. We take that opportunity.
Is there any overlap? That y'all are serving?
Indianola is obviously pretty close to us. I want to say Sunflower is, yes, is on our.
And so it kind of goes along with this evolution, Jillian, oh my gosh, I just like on her last name. Morrison, thank you. I was trying to say Thompson, but I had it not right. She's at the University of Mississippi, and they were also competing, and they're going to be doing outreach. So, Jillian pulled together all the ACP creatives to just think that's important. Like, let's work together. Let's make sure that we're all doing something different, or that we're doing something similar. That what are opportunities for us to collaborate? Jillian is traveling back from a wedding. Today. But I think that she'll post some more calls for all the grantees. One thing that I recognize, and I shared this with Jillian, is the downtown Northeast Mississippi and Central Mississippi is pretty much covered. Yeah, and I know that your approach is going to be a statewide approach in terms of marketing. But I don't know that there's any on-the-ground community organization in East and Southeast Mississippi. And if you go back to the map that I showed earlier today, that's a big gap area. And so it seems to be that we need to find some partners in those parts of the state that households that are not enrolled. And so I think as that group continues to get together and meet, then again, that would be a gap on the pipeline. Like we got a lot of people that will be sharing information with them. Is it just going to be a billboard that gets put up, or is there a community organization that has the reach and the connection that can be a partner in this to get them? So that's an example of like what the purpose of this coalition could be. Is say, here's a gap, how can we build it? So ACP, board building. Anything else on that? Cynthia, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you don't mind. I'd love for you to share about the ACP program. And it's a little different on the travel land than it is outside. There's $75 that's available versus the 30. So would you share what's happening at the band and anything around that?
So, from where, so when they either or all of them back. I don't know, kind of like some residents representatives that back out from like so kind of that's where in the beginning it was kind of new and there to everything from that to okay. But, yeah. The ones that do, from our land, they gotta be tracked. We get that across us, and, we're gonna much.
And what you said with the deal with that. Yeah, I mean, I just think like I had to see
like in the city of Jackson, and my bill like $85. The $30 would help me, but if I'm on fixed income or low income or no income, I mean, like, $50 is still a lot of money that I have to pay, and if I work from home, or I telehealth, or child has to be home, I mean, you know, I think it was mentioned earlier, sometimes it's like, you gotta choose between buying groceries, putting gas in your car, or paying for your broadband.
I think that was something I was really curious about. So, I've seen that, and maybe we've all looked at it, where it shows those providers, and, there's a column there that says, something to the extent of it covering the whole cost, like, and I guess what that means is they have some sort of package that is less than $30 a month. But it seems like all of those that I see are like providers that I never, I mean, it's not maxed out, it's not C-Spire, it's not, like, I'm not sure if there is 100% accuracy to that, because, and I'm not sure who it would actually be available to, which it coincides with like our counties, and it says it's available there, but I'm like, I don't know that, I mean, short of like the ones that are obviously getting bigger that we're all hearing about now, like, you know, Cricket has had such a come up in the past couple of years. But I mean, some of them, like the names of them are so far off that I'm not sure that there is any accuracy there. But I would be very curious to know, yes, is there some sort of plan, even with that $30 and what that looks like? Because, I mean, you know, something is better than nothing. And there are, we do run into that lots of times where it's like, internet's not a necessity for us, you know, and groceries are, electricity is, heat is, and there are several people that, yeah, I mean, they don't make that sacrifice, and I get it. I mean, I would much rather you feed your kids, but I would also like for them to be able to access what their classmates can. So I think I'm curious, is there providers there? And I missed the last call that really interested because I was in a school. So I'm hoping to catch the next week, because that's what it was for me. I think a lot of our areas do kind of overlap, but it's not necessarily a competition by any means. We just want everybody to be aware. We just, I mean, it's so much more outreach focused than it is just enroll focused. And it has to be, because you can actually enroll on your own. You know, you go to the gas station and you see the little, there's one in Cleveland, for the persons that call that attention, it's next to a debit card machine, and you can just scan the QR code. It's not through any specific agency, like it's just get internet, and you can sign up yourself right there. Well, obviously there's no way, even if we had put that out, that we would know that you enrolled, so we can count you as enrolled. That's just outreach. But for those people, I would like to know what the what we can offer, you know, just like the $100 discount. I mean, if we're talking about a $600 iPhone, I mean, what's $100? You know, I still can't afford 5, you know, or iPad, or, you know, whatever. But I would just be curious to know if there are any packages that you asked me about maxed out, if there are any packages that would make it, it's really almost no.
Yeah. So I can comment on a little of that, on defining what, you know, the providers have to have a low cost. Might not be gigabit service, it's got to be 100 down, and that could be as close to $30 as possible. And in some cases that where we might cost to go that fiber, that might be a $50 plan, and they'll be the $30 credit. Okay. But the federal government has not defined that for us, and left it to the states to define what a low cost plan is. And it really just kind of will depend on the cost of running the fiber or whatever technology you have placed. And there are some cases, like the extremely high cost map that we had, those federal government has given us a similar map that will increase the ACP credit in those areas to $75 a month. So there are going to be some options, neither does not at that point. We have a preliminary.
It's just good to know that we're headed in that direction. So
Yeah.
those people that, that we've reached that barrier with, that there's something.
Also, on a similar note, actually, Sally had a meeting with Chief Ben and staff. And so they were having an issue whereas he was applying for, I believe it was just the, data plan on his cell phone and used the ACP credit for that. Which is not also broadband.
Right.
And so we have elevated that to the FCC to see what options are possible. So then we're encouraging everyone, our offices, to take service at their house, because as soon as whoever has that one cell phone leaves the house, that leaves the kids a way to
Yeah,
all of the things.
we really wish that too. We haven't really got all into the whole device thing. You know, like we just really focus on, I guess, I think we answered this question. We focus on getting it at home. So it benefits everybody.
Yeah, Cindy and I were talking about that was an issue we could not really heard of, and no one else who brought that to our attention. We're glad to hear that. Hopefully trying to get an answer. What the options are and going forward.
I think the most concerning thing to me, and I heard it at the end of the story, was that ACP federal funding is set to run out in March or April of next year. That's like, essentially 6 months from now. And so for all the families that have been utilizing that for the last 3 years, and then all of a sudden, it's that funding is not available for how many people are in this. So we build out all this property, all this money is invested, and that funding gets taken away, and then the providers, have invested all this, provide funding for them to do it, and then they don't. And so I think over the next few months, there's going to be you're going to start to see a lot more push to keep that ACP program going. I saw something yesterday, read kind of the tagline, speaking about, the government had shut down. That's part of federal funding that would have ceased as well. So think about how quickly it came and how quickly it can go away.
And we work together. And the that you can send your sort of note down there. Share that with you. We did templates for every state, nation. You don't have to do any work, but sure, wait, send it that says that, state of Mississippi. benefited from the program. I started asking. I do that, I'm sure.
Oh, that would be great. And on behalf of the nonprofits, say that's the role that they want to play, and then that. We just submitted some letters to members of Congress this week on another issue. So, well, look who joined us. Austin.
Hey y'all. Hi everybody.
I was looking for you earlier.
I heard I am so grateful to be here with you all and inspired by the work that y'all are doing in Mississippi, and honored to have been even invited to join this first coalition meeting. So deep gratitude to you, Jamie, and to the folks down there. And I had a good conversation with the state broadband office there as well yesterday. So yeah, really, really excited, and I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. I don't know if there's anything, Jamie, that would be helpful to talk to, but I also don't want to interrupt the flow of your conversation. I heard you all talking about the extension of the Affordable Connectivity Program too.
Yeah, I do want to come back to you in just 1 second, but before I do, Chris, I wanted to ask, just on behalf of veterans, and if they're eligible for this too, I don't know if y'all are doing any outreach or have any insight to share on how we can get them.
Yes, we've been pushing that on our social media platforms, with our county service office location. Offices. Okay. So, fires offices, those veteran service officer, makes a long conversation. That area.
Are they helping them enroll or just they giving them information or is there a place?
I think, as far as information is
Okay. Good. And again, thinking about this entire role in Lead the Coalition is not just a coordinated effort, but a equitable effort across all things as well. So that's why I invited Cynthia to be here and invited the David people to represent our Vietnamese community, the Black community, our Spanish speaking communities. And so, it's important that we get said this earlier, but it's important that we get as many voices that represent everybody in the state in this so that no one is left behind. And if there's anybody that I've not included, let me know because I've tried to be very intentional about what does our state look like and who's represented and what we look like and who needs to be here to represent all of it. So Austin, what I was hoping that you would share is just on behalf of the Media Democracy Fund, the DEOI initiative, how we got here today. I shared a little bit of that at the beginning, but I'd love for you to speak on that if you can for a few minutes. I think it would be good for everybody to know, like, where our funding came from to lead this work and the context around why we were selected and what our goals in this are.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And to the group, I'm sorry that I can't see you and be there physically. I actually, this is, I'm going to directly answer the question, but a little bit of vulnerability with you all. I have been so committed to the work that is happening across the country to close the digital divide and to build lasting civic infrastructure that I got sick from traveling from so many places across the country and not getting enough sleep, and it took a toll on my health. And so I had to kind of recalibrate, to be honest with you all, and scale back on some of the travel. And it reminded me in some ways, like, just of why it's important to build strong teams and ecosystems. And so even though I'm not there in the room with you, just seeing all of you there and knowing the work that you're doing, I still feel like it's extremely inspiring for me. So I'm looking forward to being down there with you all physically, even though I'm not there right now with you. In terms of the Digital Equity Opportunity Initiative, I think that the most important message is national philanthropy is trying to find ways to leverage these once in a generation investments that you all have been talking about. So I don't need to go into that, in order to make sure that the populations, the groups in the room have been working with long before these federal investments started, that they don't just have a seat at the table, but they have a voice at the table of how those dollars are spent. And so the Digital Equity and Opportunity Initiative was really birthed as an alliance of national foundations. And they are coming together kind of with a core belief that as states like Mississippi go, as it relates to the digital divide, so goes the rest of the nation. And so I get personally very upset when people talk about, states that maybe have more economic development and they may be further down the road on some areas economically, and they overlook a place like Mississippi. And I take a lot of offense to that. And I know that our funders do too. We actually think that Mississippi, at the end of the day, is going to be a proof of success that the rest of the country can learn from. And the reason why we believe so strongly in that is because the people in the room right now. And when we see, I know that you all haven't, many of you met me, but we look at the coalition partners that are involved in this effort, and it gives us high confidence that Mississippi is going to be the tip of the spear, how this country decides to finally, once and for all, close the digital divide for everybody, and at the same time, create on-ramps to a transformed economy, transformed health systems, and a much stronger civic infrastructure on things like the census. So I want you all to know that for us, for national foundations who are thinking about how to leverage these investments, Mississippi is seen as ground zero. And in order to take advantage of this opportunity, there's a couple of things I would recommend for the group here today. The first thing is really coming up in collaboration with the state broadband office in Mississippi and the coalition partners in the room today. What is your vision for the state of Mississippi about how expanded high-speed internet can unlock opportunity in all the ways that you all have been discussing, and having a shared vision of what that means statewide, and coming up with a sense of what does it cost? What are the true costs to do that work? Not the cost of what you think you can actually get. I'm asking to imagine what are the true costs of what it would take for Mississippi to take advantage of this opportunity and really break through in all the counties across Mississippi in a way that's connected to the community engagement and outreach work that you're doing. So that's number one. And then as part of that, the national foundations that we're working with are thinking about, okay, how much of those costs can we rally national philanthropy together to try to support any remaining gaps in that plan, in that vision? And can we rally in-state funders inside of Mississippi as well towards that? So that's how we're seeing our role on the funding side, is really funding a vision in Mississippi to close the digital divide and build lasting civic infrastructure where you all are actually able to say, this is what it takes to really win and break through in Mississippi. And we want you to have the confidence that if you come up with that vision together, we'll do everything in our power to try to make sure that that vision happens, working alongside the coalition, the state broadband office, the NTIA, and our national funding partners. The second commitment that we've made as the Digital Equity Opportunity Initiative is to provide any support and assistance that you need along the way. So NETA Collaborative, I know Maria Mercado is on, and you all have been talking with the team at NETA, and they're going to continue to double down with toolkits, supports for the open comment period, sharing best practices from other states, and infrastructure and support for that. And then what we're thinking about is also, as we get closer to next year, there's actually going to be funding available for the groups in this room and the coalition to apply for directly from the NTIA, these competitive digital equity grants. And we are preparing to be able to support you all if that support is wanted, to submit a very successful application as part of a consortium in the state. And again, as part of an aligned shared vision. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't want to talk too long, but I hope you all can tell from my voice and what I've just said how essential the work in Mississippi is nationally. And we don't see Mississippi as a state that needs to catch up to the rest of the country in this work. We actually think that you all are creating a model for the rest of the country, and we want to be a part of backing that and amplifying that success nationally.
Thank you, Austin. And I'll just add to that, through this first round of funding through the DPOI, only 4 grantees in Mississippi. The Alliance was one of those grantees. Jenny Abrams, McLean, who was on with Fair County in Georgia, they received a grant. North Carolina Coalition for Digital Equity, maybe, I can't remember. And then, who was the other one?
Circle.
Circle, yes. So 4 grantees across the country, and Mississippi was selected as one of those. I think that speaks to what Austin was just sharing about, we're not going to be the last in this. We're the last in a lot of things, but we're not going to be the last in this. And I see that by really representing our key stakeholders that we have. Maybe not physically in the group right now, but being office, what y'all been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. Broadband Association getting launched, our ACP grantees that are on the ground doing the work, our nonprofits that are out, teaching people how to, the skills and the literacy that they need. So our success is not just like, hey, we've got this money, we're going to do this, but our success, I think, is coupled with us working together for us to the top. So, thank you, Austin, and we're going to get you down here at some point so you can take care of yourself right now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, hopefully before the end of the year. So we'll figure it out.
All right, good. Well, the next link in the pipeline, I think, is the skills and the literacy. And y'all are the only 2 that are in here that are doing that right. So y'all want to speak to what you're doing and your focus just in Warren County, is that correct?
Several of them, I
Okay, that's kind of that, or, that central, what would that be, west central? So I was trying to say central west, but that does not sound right. Okay. And there were some other groups that weren't able to come today that are working in, in that area as well. And then the last kind of link in that for me is, or in the pipeline that I see, is device ownership. Not just taking advantage of the ACP programs to buy a device, but like the real device ownership for families. And so we've got Chris with Digit Unity that's on, and he shared just real briefly who they are and what they do. We've been talking with them about how we can leverage their expertise and the resources that they have to create this device ownership space in Mississippi. So Chris, if you're able to come on and share a little bit more about the work that y'all do, and I can share some ideas that we have that might possibly involve them partnering with some people in Mississippi. Oh, you're on mute. How many times have we all said that over the last 3 years? A lot. We still can't hear you.
How about now?
There we go.
I have like 4 options for microphones on my thing, and it's picking the wrong one. So I apologize. But yeah, no, thanks for letting me share for a little bit. Again, Chris Craven with, development representative with Digitunity. We're a national-based organization. We're actually remote all over the country. And, we actually got our start under a different name, National Christina Foundation, about 40 years ago, just seeing the power of a device and how that could really change someone's life with disability. This is like back in the 1980s when PCs first came out, and just seeing the power of a computer. And we started partnering with corporations and other nonprofit organizations where we try to make that match and try to help with the workforce piece of that. And I got a small start, and through the time over the course of 40 years, we're actually a voice in the U.S. and Canada for about 90 nonprofit refurbishers, and then we're also a voice for about 1,500 nonprofit organizations doing the work in the community all over the U.S. and Canada. And these are like STEM programs and workforce development, veterans, K-12, you name it. And so they sign up to be a part of our network. They all work with marginalized populations, and they're eligible to, not guaranteed, but they're eligible to receive devices as we partner with corporations and other groups. And so we've still, last year we sourced more devices than ever, partnering with companies, and even we've done some, not necessarily advocacy, but work with the government as well, and kept an eye on policy type things to try to give devices a second life and encourage groups that, not just recycling's good, and if they're too old, that might be all you can do, but to really give devices a second life and to get them back in a community and give people an opportunity to use them that might not otherwise have that option. And so part of what we do is we still partner with corporations and groups on that. But over the last few years, we go through a spinoff and a rebranding to Digitunity to focus on not just the device, but also the digital divide itself. And over the past year or two, we've really been talking a lot with states and cities and coalitions about, especially with the funding, coming down, how can we partner together to not just use this as a one-time, I think I just heard that, use it as a one-time opportunity for funding to buy a bunch of devices, but how can we create what's called a sustainable device ecosystem in the community, where we can have this ongoing supply of devices from, companies and government and philanthropy, and where there's an ongoing, partnership between them and refurbishers and back into being distributed into the community to get those to the folks that need them. And so we've been trying to work with, obviously we're working with North Carolina, for example, we're working with a city in the Midwest, and we're in the middle of conversations with lots of folks, as well as looking how we can partner together in Mississippi on this. But really want this to live, well beyond its time of 3 to 5 years, and want this to be, for the 36 million people in the U.S. that still don't have computer consistent device access. We want to try to solve this problem once or for all, and just not be a one-time shot and where we're in the same spot in the next few years. So hopefully that might be a little long-winded, but thanks for letting me share. And we're really excited to see how we might be able to partner in Mississippi, and happy to be a part of the conversation. So thank you.
Hey, Chris, can you just simplify for me and maybe for others in the room what that actually looks like if you partner with, let's say, C-Spire, which is, a large Mississippi-based fiber telecom company here, and they are going to upgrade all of their devices there internally. What does that actually look like to partner with them, a nonprofit and like a community-based organization to receive the devices, do the refurbish, and then reissue or deploy those out to underserved communities?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple pieces there, and hopefully answer the question correctly. One, anybody can sign up to be a part of our Digital Opportunity Network to be eligible to receive devices. And so there's not a cost for it, but there is a small vetting process. And if they go to our website and sign up, they can be eligible to do that. And so that's one way on the distribution end. On the partnership end, what we're trying to do when we're working with states and device coalitions is how can we get philanthropy together and help convene with corporations and get focus groups and try to possibly meet with companies and bring people together of influence to have the conversation around and try to set up a system where, and maybe you look at government policy where we can work together and try to move the ball forward, where we can get companies to donate devices and other groups to donate devices, give them to a refurbisher if possible as well, and depending whether that's a nonprofit or a for-profit refurbisher in the community, and then try to give them a second life where they can be redistributed back into the community, and try to keep doing that in a circular fashion where devices are continuously offloaded. And so hopefully that answers the question. Barry?
Yeah, it does. And thank you for sharing the first part of the answer, because I think, especially for y'all as a nonprofit that are doing digital skills and literacy training, what he's saying is you can go to their website and sign up to be a provider. And does that mean that like they could apply to receive devices to be able to provide their services?
So can you repeat the question one more time?
So if there's a nonprofit that's doing digital skills and literacy training, they can go to your website and apply to be a partner. So then they could potentially receive devices that y'all go through the refurbishing with to be able to give to their members or clients that they're working with.
Yes, that's correct. And they can sign up on the website. There's no cost. And it's not guaranteed, but there's possibility that it's kind of cool. You can actually go on our website, and an individual or even a company, you can other than corporate donations, individuals can type in their zip code. And I did the same thing a few months ago. It was kind of cool where I typed in my zip code and a small nonprofit came up, and I had 2 monitors to donate. And they were so happy. It was the funnest thing for me to go down and donate use my 2 monitors to this small nonprofit organization. But if they weren't on our website and signed up, when I typed in my zip code and said I had 2 monitors to give, they never would have popped up. And so, again, it's not guaranteed, but if you want to go through, any organization wants to go through that process, it's a short one. They can do that, and they're eligible to receive devices.
I think, Devin, as you're mapping out who all those providers are across the state, yeah, to be able to somehow point them to go to their website so that they can sign up. I think that there's a way to collaborate there.
And we'd love to have more in Mississippi. We only have a handful. There's actually also a map on our website. If you go, it's our website, probably should have told you, it's just digitunity.org. So digit, DIGIT, UNITY.org. And if you go to programs, under programs, it's called Digital Opportunity Network. There's even a map locator where you can see already in Mississippi the organizations that have signed up to that are already a part of our network.
No, I'm going to go back to the ACP outreach and just thinking about what Madison shared. All of it is we know that those people are taking the $30 and they're applying it toward their cell phone devices. Do we know how many people are actually using the 100 to purchase devices? I'd love to be able to find that information out. But then as we're getting people, we're building broadband out, taking advantage of the ACP, then they don't have a device to use. So I think that there's knowing that now there's this organization that's helping fill that need, like there was another gap on the pipeline. Now we've got someone to help fill that gap. So I think the key takeaway is we need to let nonprofits know about this. And then, Chris, I think that there's opportunity to leverage partnerships in the business community and with philanthropy in Mississippi. That is a huge gap in this too, that we need to figure out how we can put a plan together for that.
Yeah, we would love to help. And I know it probably doesn't help you guys in the room, but I did put the link on the in the chat here online. So.
Okay, and we'll save that, and we're going to send out the reporting and the notes, and we'll put all of that and we share that out. Anybody else have any questions for Chris or?
We know that students have access to devices because of what they were given at their schools, but families still don't. And it's preventing people from working from home if there's opportunities to do that, it's preventing people from schooling at home, to further their education, it's preventing telehealth. Like there's a lot of barriers just that don't have to be there if they just have a device to be able to take advantage of the opportunity.
Jamie, can I ask a follow-up question to your point?
Yep.
For people in the room and as well as you and Chris, you talked about some of the use cases for devices, and I'm curious about whether climate equity or climate change devices as well, carbon reduction emissions devices, or what devices are people using around the census or online town halls with local government officials. I'm just curious if the devices are universal across some of those use cases that I mentioned, or are there additional devices when we look at those other two use cases?
Look into the room because I have no idea. I would assume that most people, especially in our underserved and under-resourced communities in Mississippi, are using cell phones to do everything. I'm just gonna guess. Everybody's nodding their head. So people are not, they're joining town halls on Facebook Live on their phone. They're not getting their laptop out and getting on Facebook unless you're my 90-year-old grandmother, and we know that in Mississippi and some other states, but in Mississippi particularly, there was pretty significant undercount in the census in 2020 because people either didn't have broadband or didn't have a device, and they weren't going to do it on their phone. And so, I think it's maybe it could go a little bit both ways, but I would say typically people are engaging in things digitally on their handheld devices. Unless they're at work and they are using somebody else's. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's the pipeline. Have I missed anything? We missed you representing a provider. Yeah. I mean, is there anything else that we need to include on that? Well, one just came up, literally. The workforce, the community college school, community college boards. Is that where you? I am. Popped in my head, I was like, okay, well, we've got, wait a minute. Who's doing it? Like, who's doing it? We've got this workforce that's doing it. So we've got to train the contractors to get out there and do the digging and the laying and the splicing, and I don't know all the terms.
I wonder, has Accelerate approached the SBA, Fiber Broadband Association? Are they working in conjunction with them on a curriculum?
So are you with the community college board or with the?
Board, I think.
Oh, okay.
No, they're speaking some hard, so she probably.
Here's a link on the pipeline that we need right here, because that's where I make a lot of assumptions, correct me if I'm wrong, but community college board is going to be the catalyst to getting our workforce in the deployment. But as a provider, right?
Yeah.
Where do you know?
Yeah, certain things they would need to know, like the equipment we're going to use, like to be trained on that specific equipment. Our ISPs don't use the same.
Yeah.
So you have to stand if they're learning what we're trying to.
Yeah. And,
Industry standard.
yeah, and Quinn with the association really represents all of that. And I think to have the community college board in addition to that is key to this as well.
The training would take place at the community college level, but we could invite them to the table and.
So speed. That way you can have
Sure.
best practices.
Sure.
What we kind of did, I'm sure. Of course, but, so whenever we were working with the community colleges to do kind of focus groups with the community college workforce and the local ISPs around, a lot of the ISPs came and said, well, we're doing aerial fiber, this is what we need, or we're doing buried fiber, that's what we need. And they said, this is kind of what we're doing, and we're teaching our people in-house. Then you have to remember, you know, if the trainer does something incorrectly because it's a shortcut, he's teaching that to everybody else. So they were talking about best practices for the instructors to have to pass on the correct, proper ways to do everything so that everything can be done and kind of as a universal standard.
Melissa, did you have another question? Your hand's still raised. Okay.
Funding in here.
I guess, Jamie, can I ask a question?
Sure.
What about how are you all thinking about accessibility for people who are differently abled in this conversation around devices, and or what have you seen as maybe some of the best practices there? Because I used to be a tutor in undergrad for a woman who was blind, and I know that she had a particular device that allowed her to basically navigate the internet that was not the device that all the rest of us use. And so it just made me think about, you know, where that might fit into the group's vision for the use of digital devices in the digital equity planning.
Are y'all working with India, NDI, National Digital Alliance?
They're not a part of this currently.
Oh, okay. I know they have digital navigators. I
Yeah.
think they kind of address some of the.
Okay, that's a great recommendation. And, you know, maybe Department of Rehab might be a good partner in this with us, as our state agency.
We have a great relationship with NDIA.
Okay.
Okay. I think at the.
Jamie? Oh,
Hey.
I'm sorry, I'm driving. I'm picking up kids from school, but I also think I'd be happy to connect you with some of the folks at New Disabled South. So I saw them at the Communications Network do a really good presentation around a lot of, you know, like online things that you can do also, but they're focused specifically on the South. And I think they could really help, you know, address some of the issues that Austin just brought up.
Okay, great, thank you. And that's the beauty of us being together, is that we're talking about this and figuring out what we need to do to make this inclusive. So thank you all.
And I will let you guys know we had, I think USM was our IHL, we did a focus group through their, they have a special section that's just for students with disabilities and are differently able. And so they, a lot of the people who attended that focus group said, you know, if we're blind and we get an email that comes in, there's no cybersecurity to tell us that an email is a scam until we've already read it with our device readers. And so they cited several different concerns and issues with security and having trust in not only how to use the device, but make sure they're not going to
get themselves into trouble through a scam email or an ad, all the things that we can kind of see to pick out, but if they can see it to pick it out, their device doesn't.
My business partner is blind and he uses iPad and part of the device, they have function in it that but the trainer, you have to train. So I know he knows how to use the device. I mean, he sends me emails, I'm like amazed.
Yeah. And that's so important, because when most people think about equity, they think about race, they think about culture, they think about community. Most people are not thinking about equity in terms of every person and what their individual needs may be. Yes, so thank you for raising that up, Austin. Very important for us to include that. We talked a little bit earlier about, making sure that communities in Mississippi were represented, and I was how, band of Choctaw Indians, our Vietnamese and API community, our Spanish speaking. And so equity goes even further beyond that too. Okay, well, we are way early. I don't think anybody's gonna be upset about that, are they? So what we're gonna do is, take all that we've heard today, what people have shared, and start building out this pipeline. And then people need to again together to start figuring out, okay, how do we get it all connected? And then what's next for us as a coalition? What are there key priorities that as a group we want to drive together? Is it just communicating? I think it's so important that we're all here because what y'all are doing is impacted by what they're doing, which is impacted by what they're doing. But when we have else gotten in the room? That's, again, to reiterate, our purpose and our goal in this coalition is to get everybody together to make sure that we're communicating, that everyone knows from one end to the other what's happening, because it's all part of the same plan. At the end of the day, it's a human right that everybody has. Used to be it still is a human right, but it used to be human right that everybody has access to health care. That's still true, but now it's a human right that everybody has access to broadband. So that's what our purpose is, to make sure that that's what we're doing. And thank you to the Media Democracy Fund and the DEOI for selecting the Alliance in Mississippi to be a part of this kind of launch into this whole plan that they have built out. And we will keep it going into next year as well. So we've lost several people. People have had to get things have come up. But I would love for us to have another meeting before the end of the year. Well, that's specific to the goals. Yeah. So we're going to collaborate with the BEAM office on sharing information, convening some very specific things together. But I'd love for our coalition to meet probably 1st of December. Like, let's get through Thanksgiving, but before the Christmas holidays start, to have another good meeting before the end of the year, because we've got a pretty good plan moving into the first. So I'll send out some information about that. And we're not opposed to going to the coast or going to Oxford or going to Tupelo. I mean, we can do this in other places. So it just makes sense for us to host the first one here, kind of in conjunction with the association's conference.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
We all open with our hole in the wall restaurants. I think we do.
Yeah. We should find a hole in the wall restaurant. Yeah. Because like, just having a coalition meeting in a restaurant. You know, we don't have to always do it in a classroom. So that's incentive for people online to come in person. If not, Austin, we will FaceTime you on my phone. Join us
Let's-
that way.
If we can if you all get me information in advance, not only will I try to attend, I'll also share it with our wider network of funders and partners as well. And maybe some others will want to join us. So no promises because we don't know the exact date, but yes, I would love to be there. And a hole in the wall in Mississippi with some good barbecue sounds fantastic to me.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining us online. I know it's not appealing to, you know, look at a screen for 3 hours, but we appreciate you hanging in there with us. And y'all are free to go and look for some information for us to come probably next week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Everybody.
She did report.
I don't think that that's